Part 4. Employing inclusive language. It is the state's policy to value one's dignity and respect their human rights. Use inclusive language to avoid alienating people and creating prejudices. Mention specific details only when relevant. There is no need to mention a person's disability, gender, religion, or other circumstance when these are irrelevant. The following questions can serve as a guide. Will mentioning the disability, gender, religion shed light on key aspects of the issue you are discussing? If no, then omit. Will mentioning the disability, gender, religion perpetuate discrimination against the group? If yes, then omit. Is there a better way to say it? If yes, do so and keep in mind inclusive language. Inclusive language for persons with disabilities. The Philippines ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities on April 15, 2008. The convention aims to promote, protect, and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms by all persons with disabilities, and to promote respect for their inherent dignity. Giving dignity to persons with disabilities includes using inclusive language to combat ableism and promote their inclusion in society. Use people-first language. People-first language emphasizes the person and not he disability, which is only used as a description. Exceptions to the use of people. First language, there are instances when the terminology used in law or jurisprudence cannot be replaced, such as unsound mind in the Family Code, deaf and dumb in both the Revised Penal Code and the Rules of Court, insane or demented persons and deaf-mute in the Civil Code, and hospitalized lepers in the Rules of Court. In these instances, place the terminology in quotation marks or paraphrase it. Otherwise, explain further, either in the body or in the footnote. Gender-fair language. The Constitution recognizes the inherent dignity of every human being and guarantees respect for human rights, including non-discrimination based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. The Magna Carta of Women recognizes that gender-sensitive language should be used to abolish inequality and practices that perpetuate discrimination. However, discrimination is not limited to women, as people who express their gender identities differently are also prone to prejudice. Nouns avoid the use of generic masculine words such as man, and binary terms such as men and women. Use gender-neutral mass nouns such as people, persons, and humans. Use gender-neutral pronouns. Avoid using he, him, his as a generic pronoun. Instead, use the singular they, them, their as indefinite pronouns if preferred pronouns are not known. In doing so, use a plural verb form with the singular pronoun they. Write they are, not they I is. Both themselves and themself are acceptable as reflexive singular pronouns. Examples before Section 21 of Republic Act No. 9165 requires that the inventory and taking of photographs be in the presence of the accused or his counsel, among others. After Section 21 of Republic Act No. 9165 requires that the inventory and taking of photographs be in the presence of the accused or their counsel, among others. Articles instead of pronouns alternatively. A, an, and the can be used as substitute for pronouns. Examples before, within 15 days from receipt, F accused appellant memorandum, plaintiff appel may file his memorandum. After within 15 days from receipt of accused appellant's memorandum, plaintiff appellee may file a memorandum. Honorific, unfounded generalizations and antiquated terms. Do not use metaphors that reinforce gender stereotypes. If there are unfounded generalizations in a direct quote, and this is important to the case, place it in quotation marks. Explain it further, either in the body or in the footnote. Example, before Jenny, as a woman, is inherently weak. She cannot be expected to fight a man. After, Jenny was not able to fight back against the perpetrator. Part 5. Abbreviations. General rule. As a rule, do not abbreviate. The American Psychological Association advises writers to use abbreviations sparingly and only when they will help readers understand your work. The reason is simple. They can confuse and alienate unfamiliar audiences. While using abbreviations is inescapable, it should not be the default format. Exceptions. There are exceptions to this rule where using abbreviations in the body of a decision would be better for ease of reading. To abbreviate, the general format is to spell out the name or term at first usage, followed by the short title in parentheses. Be consistent with the abbreviated form adopted throughout the decision. Moreover, abbreviations generally come without any periods, except when the institutions themselves adopt otherwise. Named Supreme Court cases may often involve 3 or more parties. To simplify the discussion, abbreviate by using the shortened name of the first party in the list, followed by et al., a Latin phrase meaning and others. Always spell out all the names on first usage. A comma is not necessary before et al., if only one name precedes it. Examples: first usage, Senators Francis Pangilinan, Franklin Drillon, Paulo Benigno Aquino, Leila de Lima. Enrisa Hontiveros, Senator Pangilinan and others, Senator Pangilinan and others. Second usage, not Senator Pangilinan et al. Alternatively, shorten the names of the parties by referring to their relationships. Legal terms. Some legal terms are better known by their acronym. Refer to them in their abbreviated form after first use. Documents and filings. Documents and filings are often captioned with long titles. In a decision, one may mention it in full and later referred to again as a common noun. Example: the parties entered into a contract of undertaking. They signed the contract on July 2nd, 2023. However, for easy reference, documents may be abbreviated by designating a short form of the title. For instance, abbreviate the titles of documents and filings that are too long when they will be mentioned again later. When abbreviating, indicate the long title at first use, then enclose the short title in parentheses. Constitution, statutes, treaties, etc. Official acts or session laws may have a short title that they are better known for. In this case, spell out the official act on first usage and use the abbreviated form in later mentions. See Chapter 13 on citation of primary sources for the rule on formatting session laws, constitutions, and other laws and citations. For all others, the general rule stands. Spell out he constitutions, legislative enactments, treaties, and other issuances in the body of the text. Examples: first usage, tax reform for acceleration and inclusion, train second usage, train first usage. Electric Power Industry Reform Act of 2001, APIRA second usage, APIRA first usage. Japan-Philippines Economic Partnership Agreement, JPEPA second usage, JPEPA, administrative issuances. Issuances must carry the name of the issuing institution, even if the issuance title does not include it. In these cases, use the institution's abbreviated name even at the first usage. Avoiding abbreviation in such cases may only be confusing, if not inaccurate. Still, other parts of the regulation must be spelled out. Procedural rules abbreviate procedural rules, as long and repetitive words that use the expanded form would distract the reader. In abbreviating, prefer the abbreviated form formally or commonly used. Otherwise, adhere to the general rule. Examples: first usage, guidelines for automatic adjustment of generation rate and system loss rates by distribution utilities, AGRA rules, second usage, AGRA rules. Shortened case titles abbreviate the titles of cases. After the first mention generally, the short title is the party first named IR the case title. There is no need to use parenthetical. The short title must remain italicized even after first usage. The rule applies for case titles in the body and the footnote citations. See Chapter 13 on citation of primary sources for the use of case titles in the footnotes. Example: first usage, not Almario v. Philippine Airlines, Almario v. Philippine Airlines, Almario. Second usage, Almario, not Almario. Designations. Designations are common in decisions and resolutions. To save space and avoid repetitive mention of ranks and titles, abbreviate positions after first usage. See Annexes O and P for a list of abbreviations of military and police officer ranks. Example, the prosecution presented the victim, as well as police officer Richard Navarro PO 1 Navarro, PO 3 Michael Santiago, and senior police officer the 3rd Melanio Mirza, SPO 3 Mirza, as its witnesses. Only PO 1 Navarro and SPO 3 Mirza were placed under the Witness Protection Program. Do not abbreviate ranks that do not appear in the body more than once. Institutions. Public institutions' decisions and resolutions often deal with the workings of government agencies. Observe the following rules in abbreviating their names. For departments, use their commonly or officially used acronyms or abbreviations. Follow how the organization stylizes its short name. For the names of institutions that have become part of the common parlance, use abbreviations as well. For all others, one may stick to the general rule or shorten their names by referring to them as bureau, institute, office, or agency, among others. Examples: first usage, Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD. Second usage, DSWD. Private institutions. Private institutions may also become actors in decisions and resolutions. Unlike government institutions, however, private institutions are usually unfamiliar to the public. In these cases, adhere to the general rule. Public utilities and non-government organizations are common exceptions to this general rule. Given that their transactions are imbued with public interest, their names have often become part of public discourse. In such cases, refer to their officially or commonly used acronym or short title after first use. Examples: first usage, Manila Electric Company Meralco. Second usage, Meralco. International bodies abbreviate when referring to international bodies, organizations, and associations. Among others, use their formal names. Examples: first usage, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Second usage, ASEAN. Currency and abbreviating currencies. Refer to the International Organization for Standardization ISO 4217, which standardizes references to currencies to enable clarity and reduce errors. See Annex A for the list of acceptable alphabetic codes. When writing currencies, use the Arabic number system. See Chapter 7 on numbers. ISO 4217 uses the following format. Capitalize the letters of the alphabetic code. Put a space between the alphabetic code and the numerical value. There is no need to provide the long form first when referring to currencies. Examples: PHP 12-200, USD 45, not Philippine peso PHP 12-200, United States dollar USD 45. Units of measurement. Units of measurement are not abbreviated in the text and only done so in tables, lists, and others where there is a need to save space. See Chapter 7 on numbers. Use the acceptable short forms as provided under the International System of Units. In writing units of measurements, add a space between the unit of measurement and the numeral. See Annex J for a non-exhaustive list of units of measurement. Miscellaneous expressions for all other terms not falling under the exceptions already discussed, but have become part of common parlance. The abbreviation or short title is preferred even in subsequent mentions, or at the first usage. Examples of terms that can be abbreviated in later mentions: first usage, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS. Second usage, AIDS. Thank you for listening Group 1's report.